Climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our time. Increasing temperatures, rising sea levels, and extreme weather events are growing ever more common. What can we do about climate change? Innovative business models for clean energy and climate adaptation are a big part of the solution. Plenty of entrepreneurs have great ideas on how they can make an impact. However, it can be challenging to find the investment to get their projects off the ground or to grow their businesses. That's where Pfan comes in. The Private Financing Advisory Network is a global network of climate and clean energy financing professionals, offering free business coaching and investment facilitation to projects and businesses in developing countries, bridging the gap between investors and developers. The Pfan journey begins with an entrepreneur submitting a project proposal, detailing their investment needs. We select high potential projects or businesses and map a pathway to investment. The next step, business coaching, is at the heart of Pfan. We appoint an expert consultant from our network to provide targeted and unbiased one-on-one advice to help entrepreneurs refine their business plans and financial models, something which plays a key role in attracting financing. Once entrepreneurs are ready, we introduce them to suitable investors and, if necessary, provide further support to help make the deal happen. Pfan is funded by our donors, enabling us to provide these services for free. If you're an entrepreneur developing a project or scaling up an existing business in clean energy or climate adaptation, a consultant who wants to share your expertise, or an investor looking to make an impact, we would love to hear from you. Let's work together in creating a cleaner, greener planet where businesses are part of the solution.
Firstly, I would like to welcome our first speaker to give you more information about the Private Financing Advisory Network and the Pakistan Private Sector Energy project. So Mr. Peter Story is the Global Coordinator for Pfan and the Acting Chief of Party for the PPSE project. He is a finance professional with more than 30 years of project and corporate finance experience and expertise in renewable energy and specialize in developing countries and transitioning economies. Peter, over to you.
Thank you, Mavra. Honorable Secretary Abu Bakr Ahmed, USAID Mission Director Michael Nebas, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you today to our Spotlight on Sindh event. This event is jointly organized by the Sindh Enterprise Development Fund and the USAID-funded Pakistan Private Sector Energy Project, or PPSE as we call it. The PPSE was formally launched earlier this year with the mandate to accelerate and increase the flow of investment into small and medium clean energy transactions in Pakistan. We do this by originating promising projects at an early stage and providing them with expert financing advisory support, transaction advice, and investment matchmaking to help them reach financial close. PPSE is managed and implemented by Pfan, the Private Financing Advisory Network, which is a project preparation facility initiated in 2006 in conjunction with the UNFCCC to help mobilize private sector investment and finance into clean energy and climate projects in developing countries. Since its inception, Pfan has supported over 1,000 projects globally and has helped raise over $2 billion of investment, which is just to say that we think we know something about project development and investment. My colleagues will tell you more about how PPSE works and our activities in Sindh later in this meeting. During an intensive scoping study, Sindh was identified as one of the states in Pakistan showing significant potential for deal flow and investment for PPSE, not least in terms of the opportunities, in wind and hydro, and in the nexus between energy and agriculture in sectors such as biomass and biogas and waste to energy. During today's meeting, we want to shine the spotlight on these opportunities, explore them together with you, and understand better how and where PPSE can provide our support to help make these deals happen. Who better to do that with than the Sindh Enterprise Development Fund, which I am proud to say is one of our first strategic partners in Pakistan. I would take this opportunity of thanking Manager Director Mehbud Ul-Haq for his insight and constructive guidance in helping us co-organize this event and in bringing the key stakeholders and the various participants to the table. I am looking forward to an energizing and stimulating discussion. And at the end of the day, I hope identification of areas where we can cooperate and which we can help develop and close together. In closing, I would thank you all in advance for your time, your experience, and your brainpower, and your valued contributions. Last not least, thank you to USAID for making this event possible, for its vision and support of PPSE. Back to you, Mavra.
Thank you so much, Peter. Now I would like to begin with our keynote address and introduce everyone to our esteemed speakers. However, I would like to tell everyone that there has been a change in the agenda. As most of you must have heard, Sindh is going through a weather emergency right now. Much of the coastal province is experiencing torrential rains and cyclone warnings. This should only strengthen our commitment to climate change resilience and mitigation. But however, due to this emergency, our first keynote speaker, Mr. Imtiaz Ahmed Sheikh, the Minister at Energy Department of Sindh, could not make it to the webinar today. We hope him and the entire department will have the strength and courage to deal with the situation. However, we do have in place the esteemed Minister, the Secretary of Energy Department, Mr. Abu Bakr Ahmed, who will be taking over. Mr. Ahmed has been working in the energy sector since January 2011. He holds a master's degree in statistics, postgraduate diploma in public administration, and has attended various professional courses from the National Institute of Management, Karachi, Pakistan Institute of Development, and Pakistan Institute of Rural Development. He has 25 years of experience working in public sector department, finance, agriculture, local government, and information technology. He is effectively contributing to energy security through balancing energy mix towards renewable resources. Mr. Secretary Saab, over to you. I think Secretary, he is not with us right now. So I would just like to go towards our other keynote speaker. Sorry for that, and hopefully he will be joining us soon. So now I would like to invite Mr. Michael Neherbas, joining from USAID. He has been a part of USAID Pakistan since August 2019 as a Deputy Mission Director. Prior to joining USAID Pakistan, he oversaw stabilization, democracy and governance and economic growth activities for USAID Iraq. Mr. Neherbas joined USAID as a Foreign Service Officer in 2001. He has worked as a program officer, a supervisory economist, and a general development officer, and has served in Afghanistan, Angola, Georgia, Guatemala, Indonesia, Iraq, and in USAID's Africa Bureau in Washington. Mr. Neherbas has a master's degree in national security strategy from the National War College, a master's degree in international relations from Johns Hopkins University. Mr. Neherbas, over to you.
Thank you very much for that. And respectable Secretary for Energy, Mr. Abu Bakr Ahmed, Mr. Mehbub Ul-Haq, Sindh Enterprise Development Fund, Mr. Abrar Sheikh, Sindh Board of Investment, private sector leaders, UNIDO and Pfan representatives, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It's a pleasure to join this event organized by USAID's Pakistan Private Sector Energy Activity with a focus on Sindh Province. Let me begin by thanking all of you for your participation in this event to discuss the challenges and opportunities for clean energy financing. USAID has been a long-term partner of the government of Pakistan in addressing the country's national energy needs. As we all know, reliable energy is vital to socio-economic development and is crucial for bringing in more investment. The energy sector has great investment potential through a variety of renewable and clean energy resources, including solar, wind, biomass, and hydro energy generation. Since 2010, USAID's activities in partnership with the government of Pakistan have focused on reducing daily blackouts caused by a lack of generation capacity and improving the capacity of electricity distribution and transmission. USAID's recent support to the government of Pakistan included technical assistance and loan guarantees to clean energy projects. These investments help to level the playing field so that the power sector is competitive and transparent. We applaud the government's goal to diversify its energy sources by expanding renewables. Over the next decade, we expect to see a transformational change in the mix of Pakistan's generation capabilities. Renewables, including hydro generation, are expected to be 60% of the energy mix by 2031. The government of Pakistan also is undertaking important new initiatives, such as further opening the market to the private sector and developing a wholesale electricity market. Once again, USAID is side by side with Pakistan in taking these positive steps to meet its renewable energy targets. Significantly, with more than half of Pakistan's forecasted emissions continuing to come from the energy sector, there is no other segment of the economy so fundamental to mitigating the impact of climate change. Renewable energy is critical for Pakistan to reduce its emissions. The conditions for investing in clean energy have improved. 10 years ago, solar power was among the most expensive for utility scale generation. Now, together with wind, it is the cheapest on a levelized cost of energy basis. USAID has a number of tools available to support the government of Pakistan in meeting its goals of increasing the share of renewable energy sources and reducing its emissions. The Pakistan Private Sector Energy Activity is one of those tools, available to directly support the clean energy market in Pakistan by unlocking investment for low carbon, climate resilient projects. Specifically, it will expand the portfolio of commercially viable, socially and environmentally sustainable, small and medium scale clean energy projects. The activity also will support them to reach financial closure so they can access funding and begin to implement the projects. I'm hopeful today's discussions will be informative, both in the context of Pakistan and how USAID engages the private sector. Thank you and all the best.
So we have our first poll, there it is. We have our first poll that has come up. So I'd like to request everyone to quickly just pick the option they think is best and they think is most relevant. And then after everyone's picked and we have the results, we will quickly discuss the result. Okay, so now the secretary has also joined. So once, I think we can end the poll now and then we can proceed with the secretary's speech. Okay, so as we see, and I think the secretary can actually comment on this best. So what is the biggest challenge, biggest asset for green energy companies in Sindh? And whopping 67% think it's abundance of natural resources and renewables. Thank you everyone for giving your input in this, and let's also see what the secretary's take would be.
I'm now at your disposal.
You are here, Mr. Abubakar. So nice of you to join us. Thank you so much. I already went through your introduction, yes. So I hope it's okay if we don't repeat that.
Yeah.
So sir, yes, if you could kindly proceed with your keynote speech, that would be great.
Thank you very much. The keynote address subject on the Pakistan private sector financing spotlight on Sindh opportunities for clean energy financing. UNIDO, provincial government, industry, private sector, energy professional, all the participants gather here virtually today. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone. At this outset, I'm pleased to have been invited today to discuss how private financing can be leveraged to boost Pakistan's clean energy transition. Projects such as Pakistan's private sector energy are vital for this change to be made possible, and this change has to be our top priority. Pakistan is not a significant contributor to carbon emission. Shockingly, it is the fifth most vulnerable country to climate change. In particularly, one of the fastest growing cities in the world, Karachi is vulnerable due to its coastal locations. In order to mitigate impact of climate change and reduce our carbon footprint, we need to, amongst others, reduce our reliance on fossil fuel in energy. Despite Sindh's immense potential in renewable energy resources, the share of clean energy in total electricity generation continues to remain below desired level. Here I am glad to say that Sindh was found to be a priority province by the Pakistan Private Sector Energy Project because of its potential to drive the green transition forward in Pakistan. Its large potential has also been acknowledged by the Government of Sindh, which has identified and utilized its wind solar potential on priority basis, and now waste to energy has been under consideration for utilization in its energy strategy. Let me explain in brief about our renewable energy potential and success stories. Firstly, our province is blessed with a wind corridor, which is recognized as one of the strongest wind corridor in the region, having an exploitable potential of more than 60,000 megawatt electric power generation. The second area of priority is biomass and conversion of all type of waste to energy. Agriculture and livestock sector produce copious amount of biomass in the form of crop residue and animal waste. Lastly, Sindh receive an average of about 90 megajoules per square meter of energy throughout the year, rendering solar energy a cornerstone in our clean energy effort. As a matter of fact, in order to leverage these opportunities, our government is striving to formulate policy and projects that will drive the change towards renewable energy. Pakistan has introduced Alternative Energy Policy 2019, National Electricity Policy 2021, setting ambitious target of at least 20% renewable energy generation by year 2025 out of its total energy generation and 30% by 2030. For the first time in Pakistan, 24 wind power generation projects with a cumulative capacity of 1235 megawatt have been operational and feeding electricity to the national grid. 12 wind power generation projects having cumulative capacity of 610 megawatt will be operational till December 2021. Here, I am excited to say that all these wind power generation projects are located in Sindh at its district Thatta and Jamshid. As far as power generation from solar energy is concerned, Sindh Energy Department has signed agreement with private sector firm to launch the Sindh Solar Energy Project, a part of 400 megawatt solar park that will be established. Through this project, we aim to provide energy to 200,000 houses in the area which are out of grid zone. As evident by these examples, the Ministry of Energy Sindh is very committed on transforming Pakistan energy mix to become more balanced with the inclusion of clean energy. It is worth mentioning here that organizations like Usaid and UNIDO have been working with the government to achieve this balance and are bringing the public and private sector together to strengthen our energy sector. The Pakistan Private Sector Energy Project continues USAID's long-term partnership and cooperation with the government of Pakistan. I enthusiastically thank both USAID and UNIDO for the impact they are making for green energy deployment and offer any hearty help to the project. I'm confident that the potential to decrease our reliance on fossil fuel is only going to grow and Pakistan will be powered for the future. I'm looking forward to the discussion on this forum today. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to move to our next session that will showcase the important work the Sindh Enterprise Development Fund is doing in the way of sustainable business development. I would like to introduce Mr. Mehboob Haq. He is the Managing Director at Sindh Enterprise Development Fund. Mr. Haq has over 20 years of experience running programs and projects that create growth and long-term value. He has served as faculty member at his alma mater, Institute of Business Administration in Karachi, and has received a diploma on sustainable agriculture from Denmark. He's a US State Department and Danida Fellow working in both the public and private sector. Mr. Huck, over to you. And before Mr. Huck presents, we will be seeing a short video about SCDF's activities.
Sindh Enterprise Development Fund, supporting entrepreneurship, creating employment, making dreams come true.
SCDF was truly instrumental. You know, normally आप government organization के पास जाते हो तो आप perceive करते हो कि it would be slow, सही तरह का response नहीं मिलेगा. लेकिन SCDF में my experience was phenomenal. This was a really big perception changer for me.
SCDF ने जो support किया इस project को सिंध गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से और SCDF की तरफ से एक बहुत ज़बरदस्त किस्म की ये सपोर्ट है। सिंध सूबे में जो स्कीम लाई गई है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, शायद पूरी दुनिया में कहीं पे भी ऐसी स्कीम ना हो। फॉर द पीपल एंड फार्मर्स ऑफ सिंध टू सपोर्ट देम, ये लेकर आएँ ताकि लोग आएँ, आगे बढ़ें और काम करें।
Strengthening agriculture by provision of subsidized credit for improving on-farm practices, technology, modern machinery and innovation.
रिफ्रेश की कामयाबी का सफ़र जो है वो एक ख्वाब की तरह है। हमने छोटे छोटे बेबी स्टेप से भी स्टार्टेड और आज अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हम एक बड़ी कंपनियों में शुमार होता है डे फ्रेश का, और आज डेयरी लाइन का ब्रांड डे फ्रेश $1 बिलियन ब्रांड बन चुका है। जब हमने स्टार्ट किया तो SCDF के साथ हमारी इंटरेक्शन हुई एंड दिस गेव अस दिस फैसिलिटी जिस पे इनिशियल स्टार्टअप में हमें बड़ी आसानी हुई। तो मैं आप सबको भी ये रिकमेंड करूँगा कि जो है हम इस अपॉर्चुनिटी से फ़ायदा उठाएं। दिस इज़ अ वेरी गुड अपॉर्चुनिटी। सिंध गवर्नमेंट का इसमें बड़ा रोल है।
ये जो लोग कहते हैं कि सिंध में काम नहीं हो रहा, सिंध में बहुत काम हो रहा है। गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे भी हो रहा है और प्राइवेट सेक्टर भी काम कर रहा है। SCDF उसने बड़ा क्रिटिकल एक पार्ट प्ले किया है टू कनेक्ट फार्मर्स विद एक्सपोर्टर्स, ताकि बेसिकली उनका मकसद क्या है मैं उस पर स्ट्रेस करूँगा। उनका मकसद ये है कि पूरी वैल्यू चेन कवर करना।
Facilitating agri-economy by promoting value addition and inculcating best practices.
यूजुअली हमेशा ये होता है कि टॉप टू बॉटम होता है ना, ये बॉटम टू टॉप है, यानी नीचे से लेके टॉप तक होता है। और यही वजूहत है कि जो की वजह से फार्मर जो है ना वो एक्सपोर्टर बन गया है, या फार्मर जो है ना वो मशीन से या मिलर बन गया है, जो भी आप इसको कह दें, कि यानी बॉटम टू टॉप लाने वाली SCDF का रोल है।
To harness Sindh's true potential, connecting farmers and producers to local and international markets.
Especially like to thank the Investment Department, Government of Sindh, Secretary SN Ali Mangi Saab and Mehboob ul Haq Saab for providing us this opportunity. The Kybor subsidy which they have provided us has been extremely beneficial, and it has taken care of a lot of risks involved.
ये बहुत अच्छा फंक्शन है, हमें अंदाज़ा नहीं था कि ये इतना कामयाब हो जाएगा। आज के प्रोग्राम से लगता है कि ये आइंदा सालों में एक मुस्तकिल इवेंट बन जाएगा हैदराबाद में। महबूब साहब ने और डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और डिविजनल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने मिल के ये फंक्शन किया है बहुत कम वक्त में और बहुत अच्छा।
Livestock, dairy, fisheries, poultry and agriculture exhibitions are Government of Sindh's signature event, working along seed-to-shelf model to identify gaps in agriculture value chain, turning them in viable commercial opportunities.
मेरे को 1 करोड़ रुपया सब्सिडी मिली है, तो उसकी मदद से मैंने बड़ा यूनिट, काफ़ी मुझे उसमें मदद मिली, तो मैंने बड़ा यूनिट लगाया। अभी हमने नया प्लान लगाया है। अभी अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि हमने जो प्लान लगाया है उस पर हम बहुत खुश हैं। आप भी जो SCDF से सब्सिडी से आप भी फ़ायदा उठाएँ, क्योंकि इनमें लोगों का रोज़गार बनेगा और प्लांट आपका चलता रहेगा, एक क्वालिटी बनेगी। आगे चल के आप अपने जो एक्सपोर्ट करते रहोगे तो ये आपके लिए फ़ायदा रहेगा। थैंक यू SCDF।
It is Sindh government's resolve to revive and modernize and upgrade
Sindh's agriculture, agri-economy. We support innovation, we support mechanization, we support efficiencies for exportable surplus.
SEDF, Sindh Enterprise Development Fund.
Thank you, Mavra. Yeah.
Thank you for that video. Mehboob Saab, could you kindly turn on your video? Thank you.
Thank you, Mavra. Worthy Secretary Abu Bakar Matni, Mission Director, USAID, Michael Nerbas, Mr. Peter Story, Ghazal Jabbar, Deputy Chief of Party for Pfan, Abrar Sheikh Saab, Dr. Tahir Rashid from WWF. Good afternoon and hello, everyone. You've already seen the introductory video of SCDF in terms of what we do. And I'll now take you through a presentation where I will show you how PFAN and SCDF together can work for SMEs in Sindh to convert them into renewable green energy and what benefits they will reap in the global economic marketplace. And we have already embarked on this journey, and I will showcase some of the projects that we are already working on, converting them into renewable energy. So I'll just share the screen to show you the presentation. Yes. So as you all know that we support entrepreneurship, you've seen that in the video. Our mission is to bring in technology, introduce efficiency in the agri sector, and we work through the private sector. Our objective is to encourage investments in the agriculture sector. We support private entities, and we work along the seed to shelf model in maximizing agri business in the province. We support opportunities for value addition. We provide technical assistance in terms of how to improve practices, bring in technology. We provide financial assistance in the shape of markup subsidy. These are some of the state bank schemes that we work along. And as you can see, one of the scheme is financing scheme for renewable energy. So all loans for agri SMEs in the province of Sindh that apply and get those renewable energy scheme loans, we subsidize the markup and bring it down to 2% from the original rate of 6%. These are the priority clusters, and all these clusters, in the end, you can see green energy for these clusters. So we will support any green energy, renewable energy initiative for these. So, for example, we've facilitated about 60 rice husking units throughout Sindh, and now those units, some of them are already in the process of converting to green energy. I will show you in the following slides. So the dairy farms that we have supported, they are now looking at biogas as one of their source of energy. So for example, we did a cold store that is looking forward to convert to renewable energy. So these are the small and medium entities that can be the potential most suitable for converting to green energy. This just to give you an idea of the financial assistance and the impact it has created. So in 2021, we have given out a markup subsidy of 55 billion, and that has resulted into an impact financing of about 2 billion rupees. So this is the kind of stimulus that SCDF has been able to generate in the agri economy. So all these projects, that 90 projects we have done so far, are candidate for converting into partial or complete renewable or green energy. These are organizations who we work with, are finance institutions that provide loans to these agri SMEs. Some of our supported projects have now become a big brand name in the agri space, like Dairyland, organic meat. Organic meat only last year generated raised 800 million rupees from the stock exchange in October. Pfan has been added to our partners list. We've earlier also partnered with USAID. So when I say green and renewable energy, so all our supported units and otherwise those agri-processing units who want to set up, add green energy, we provide them markup subsidy and bring down the loan to cost of the loan to 2%. Some of the units that we have already supporting, so this is a rice processing unit in Karachi that is converting and putting under 850 kilowatt of solar energy. RB International is another unit which is putting up 1200 kilowatts. The approximate cost of the solar energy unit is 53 million in case of HKM Industries. In case of RB International, the project's ticket size is around 85 million. Agro Green is a cold store that has been funded by JS, and SCDF will be picking up the markup for this project, for all these projects. So, so this is the kind of potential that Sindh SMEs offer for converting to green and clean energy. And what are the benefits that these units will? So, for example, these rice processing units will get access to the premium market of Europe and the developed world. They get a premium price. They get a preference, and there is a significant reduction in their energy bills. So, an average rice processing unit would be saving about 50 billion rupees over a period of 5 years in their energy costs. So it's a huge dollar benefit and market access benefit as well. And in terms of price efficiencies for the cost of production, that will also help them. So these are the units that are already under process, and we look forward to more and more with our partners. So these are some of the savings that I was trying to tell you that these units will have. So it's much more than 50 million. It's actually 155 million over a period of 5 years. So these are the project details, and look forward to a meaningful relationship and partnership with Pfan in converting agri SMEs on green, solar, renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mehboob Saab, for that very illuminating presentation about SCEDF's work, and it's very exciting to see what will happen in the future with already SCEDF is doing such great work in agriculture, but utilizing clean energy, biogas, and waste for more clean energy in Sindh. So we really look forward to your future endeavors and programs as well. Now I would like to move on to the next session. And this is going to be talking more actually about Pfan and the PPSE project in Sindh, and how the gap between clean energy entrepreneurs and investors can be bridged. I would like to introduce my colleagues. Firstly, I would like to introduce my colleague, Mr. Ghazal Jabbar. Ghazal is the deputy chief of the PPSE program, and he has more than 20 years experience working in investment banking, private equity, and energy efficiency. His main areas of expertise are mergers and acquisitions, business development, transaction management across e-mobility, renewable energy, financial institutions, oil and gas, energy efficiency. And he is also leading the project origination at PPSE. I also have another colleague, Mr. Kevin Braithwaite. He is the Vice President of the Network for Global Innovation Engine, which is a partner for the SME Accelerator that Pfan has launched recently. And our deadline for applications is 4th October, and I'm sure Kevin can tell you more about that. Kevin has more than 20 years of experience in business development, sales, and marketing. Kevin has worked closely with international agencies, government, investors, corporations, and universities to support emerging clean tech ventures around the world. He has supported the creation, launch, and growth of accelerators, incubators, innovation challenges, and competitions in both developed and developing economies across 6 continents. Previously, Kevin was the VP of Global Programs for the Clean Tech Open and built a number of technology companies. So over to you, Ghazal and Kevin.
Thank you, Mavra. Thank you for this introduction. A very warm welcome to all the participants today, who logged in, and thank you for joining us today. Today, I'll be taking you through a presentation which I will just upload. Just give me a second. Sure. So today I'll be taking you through a brief presentation across, what the Pfan global project is, and the more dedicated USAID funded private sector energy project in Pakistan, which is a Pfan, where Pfan is a technical partner and USAID has funded this particular project in Pakistan. I'll take you through on our range of services, our team on ground, the eligibility criteria, and what do we have to offer for Pakistan and in particularly for Sindh. To start off with, Pfan typically provides sell-side investment banking advisory services to entrepreneurs for low carbon, climate resilient projects in developing countries. They have replicated the same across Pakistan with a dedicated program under the PPSE, which is a USAID funded program. As with any developing country, the value proposition here is Pfan is looking to address the missing middle. On one side, we have limited supply of investor-ready projects. On the other side, we have pools of capital, but minimal products available in the SME space. There's limited knowledge across clean energy space and renewable energy, and the product and the pool of capital is missing. So what the Pfan operation does is we help support the SMEs structure their projects, make them bankable, create marketing documentation for them, like the information memorandum, a marketing document, teaser document, help them create a financial model, make it bankable to a way where we create projections and support the company in a way where we are able to take these businesses to banks and equity investors towards the financial flows. So where we feel there's the missing link here is the SMEs are not fully catered to hire formal advisors or don't have an investments team to take on these tasks themselves. One area where we really focus on is to manage unrealistic expectations, where we feel that many of the SMEs have in terms of valuation. So we really advise on structuring and proper valuation of these entities and help the local projects achieve financial flows. To add on, I think an important part is that this facility is since it's funded by the USAID, it's free of cost to local SME service providers. The only cost is a success fee. So it's a success fee model with no retainers or a milestone-based fee mechanism. Just a bit about Pfan globally. It's a network of advisors. We're across all emerging markets, Latin America, Africa, South Asia, Pacific, Southeast Asia. In Pakistan, we have dedicated 11 advisors, and the network is growing. Globally, we have more than 160 climate and clean energy finance and clean energy experts The project is hosted by UNIDO and REAP since 2016, although it was initiated back in 2006. Since it has, so there's substantial evidence of success that we will just talk about on the next slide. It's a proven public-private partnership business model, and it's funded by many government multi-party trust funds for many governments like the government of Sweden, Australia, Usaid, Norwegian ministry, and others. The track record of Pfan is pretty important to see. So we're dealing here with developing markets in the SME space, and that's possibly the most difficult markets to operate in. We have a success rate of 17%. We already have 1,000 projects onboarded with us with the current executed, and we have a project pipeline of around 300 at this point. We're looking to comply with SDG goals, and in this process, we've raised $2 billion of capital for projects for 177 projects, and in this process, we've generated capacity of over 2 gigawatts and 4.3 million tons of carbon has been mitigated. A bit about the USAID funded Pakistan private sector energy project. So this is a Pfan operation. Pfan is a technical partner for this project in Pakistan. Usaid is the funding partner. The implementing partner is Pfan. They're hosted on the UNIDO and the REAP platform as it is globally as well. So we draw in from the international expertise and the international experience of Pfan in Pakistan. Although the team is new, the experience, the support, etc., is all draws down from the experience across 2006. We've got a dedicated team, dedicated management team of 6 on ground. Our roles typically for the management team are we're involved in business origination. We hold outreach events. We use the personalized methodologies to approach the private sector, primarily in the clean energy space, and originate projects and help them on board with us. We're also simultaneously developing partnerships with financial institutions, equity investors, SEDF, our most recent partner as well. So we're trying to we're trying to develop and build relationships with key stakeholders like the Sindh Energy Board, which will be very critical for us as well for projects, just like the Secretary Saab has mentioned, the initiatives on the 400 megawatt project, and doing those in micro phases. We'd like to be a part of a project like that on the advisory side of this businesses, and trying to help these projects achieve financial close. On the SME side, we've recently launched the SME Accelerator services to support early stage businesses in the clean energy space. My colleague Kevin will speak more about that during the course of this presentation. And we're holding regular communications and outreach events through the core management team at the PPSE. Then we've got the PPSC advisors, which are really the backbone of our business as well. So they're industry experts with local experience, on average, more than 15 years of experience, primarily investment banking, project finance, clean energy experience across Pakistan. So we have a team of 11 advisors, and they're growing as we speak. They're there to support the SMEs on a day-to-day basis. They work with the SME projects, make these projects bankable, help them tweak up their models, financial models, help them tweak marketing documentation for potential equity investors, and then help them also to support introducing equity investors and financiers in this whole process. And of course, the management team who has been building relationships will support the advisors in helping achieve financial close for these clean energy projects. Well, this is how our pipeline works. So, we use personalized approaches as well as outreach events for origination activities. We help support businesses put up an initial proposal with us and submit that through our website. We will be sharing our link through this chat as well as across this presentation, so you will have an opportunity to know how to apply, how to make an application. So the origination activity typically is to support these businesses to upload their application with us. We undertake a quarterly selection process. The upcoming deadline is 31st of October. So we encourage all those projects who are clean energy projects and who require advisory services. I mean, I would like to clarify here that we are only providing advisory services for projects. We are not investing in any project as such. So our selection projects will be across those projects which will be eligible to take towards a financial close, where other equity investors and financiers will be financing and investing in these projects. So the pipeline induction process, is undertaken every quarter. We take around 2 to 3 weeks for this process. Once inducted, we will allocate an advisor to you. That advisor will work on a day-to-day basis with you under the development projects pipeline, and then support you and make your project bankable. This process would typically take around 3 months to complete. And once your project is ready, we take it into the investment facilitation phase, where the process we introduce your project to potential investors and lenders. And this is done through investment forums, road shows, investor introductions, and we work towards supporting you on legal documentation, advising on legal documentation with the legal firm, and then in the effort to achieve a financial close. The tipping point fund that you see here is typically the last mile, as you would say, to achieve a financial close. So small amounts of funding required to vet or double check any due diligence exercise could be funded here under the tipping point facility. Our project selection criteria for onboarding projects is quite standard, as you would say. We look at commercially and technically viable projects, an experienced management team, a very strong gender impact, very strong climate impact as well, and growth potential in that company. We would look typically at projects which have a sweet spot for fundraise around $1 to $50 million, which include debt, equity, and grant. The projects, of course, have to be commercially and technically viable. We review that through the initial financial submissions that the projects will make. We are focusing again on clean energy projects for Pakistan, and these projects are technology neutral. So we're open to various technologies, including wind, solar, biogas, biomass, waste to energy, and new technologies, if there are any. And our focus is although the focus of this presentation is really Sindh, and we are exploring Sindh quite aggressively. We are open for projects across all the provinces and across the country. We will have specific preferences in and priority areas, and I will speak about that in the next slide. So we've identified for ourselves four priority areas, and I think all of them are very important to us. It's just that we want to focus on the priority one first, and then the 2 and 3 and 4s. The rationale being that we want to focus, and this event, for the Sindh event, suits perfectly under priority 1. And our partnership, for partnerships, we've already partnered with the SEDF. I think they have good insights with the agri space, but the agri space is not the only space that we want to be focusing on. We are focusing also on the energy space. So we would like to build partnerships again, with the Sindh Energy Board and work more closely with them on potential projects. Potential projects under priority 1 would be rural electrification, energy access. This is typically, the outreach into rural Sindh, rural Pakistan, where these could be microgrid projects with telecom sector, small projects across electrification of villages. E-mobility is an upcoming area where we really want to keep our focus on. We already have 3 projects onboarded with us in the e-mobility space. This is more urban, but yes, we are very focused on e-mobility. This could stretch across the entire supply chain on the e-mobility chain. B2B captive is typically captive solar power energy sources, where for industrial usages, for agricultural uses, there are lots of agri-based businesses along with industrial units, towards closer to Karachi, who are considering going captive through solar power. That is an area where we want to be advising for capital raising specifically for more solar B2B businesses. Bioenergy, rural bioenergy, biomass, and waste to energy is a very important area for us. We feel there's a lot of potential for bioenergy in Sindh, primarily because of dairy farms in the region, and more agri-based economies where the output or the waste can be used to generate energy, and we would love to advise projects which are focused on the bioenergy and the biomass space. So that is priority number 1 for us. Priority 2, again, more urban waste management, recycling of projects. This could be plastic recycling. Energy efficiency is important for let's say for buildings who are doing LEED certification. Those could be somewhere where we could support on fundraising. Industry 4.0 is the newest revolution, where a typical, just to give you an example, typical app which is focused on raising funding for clean energy could be an area of focus for us. We've kept, although wind, solar, IPPs are not a priority at this point, but we feel that this is a bit beyond the SME space, but we are still open to getting opportunities around those. Other eligible sectors that you look into, which are in gray on this slide, are around climate adaptation. We are still open to consider those on our platform, on the wider Pfan platform. However, the above were PPSE, more clean energy focused areas that we want to focus on Pakistan. The team here, on ground is very solid. We're investment banking profiles, private equity profiles, again with renewable energy, clean energy experiences, well over 18-20 years of experience for each of us. Peter Story, you've just met during this initial discussion. He brings across the global Pfan experience and the development experience, and for the whole program. I look at managing the program locally in Pakistan itself, and I also am responsible for project origination. So if there's any project, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to support you on onboarding with us. Amar Qureshi leads the financial institutions and develops relationships and partnerships with local institutions, FIs, equity investors. So if there are any equity investors or institutions on this call looking to partner with us, Amar is the person to contact. Hamad Bashir is now looking at, also looks at public sector relationships, but now also leading the initiative on the SME Accelerator program that we have, focused on clean energy. So Hamad is the person you need to contact for that. Mavra leads our communication strategy in Pakistan, and Santiago provides, from Vienna, he provides us the real backbone support for our operations for the PPSE project. Finally, I would just, like to encourage, all the participants, if there are any projects that you have in the clean energy space, we're open for business. We'd love to hear from you, and please reach out to me. I can support you, walk you through on the application process. Our next application deadline is the 31st of October. The process is, you just give us some time, give yourself some time, approximately 2 weeks to prepare a brief plan and prepare some projections at your end before making this application. but happy to help, and I would strongly encourage that you reach out to us for this advisory support. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation here, and I would like to hand over to Kevin, and who will take you through the SME Accelerator. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ghazal. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the Pfan SME Accelerator in Pakistan. Next slide, please. So really the focus of this accelerator is providing a mechanism by which we can help clean energy SMEs in Pakistan to grow, to develop their gaps, to improve the team, to improve their focus, and to ease them into the Pfan PPSE pipeline. We're focusing on companies that are growth focused, so they're ideally should be a prototype, a proof of concept in the market, and ideally some indication of traction. So paying customers is the best example of that. But we're also looking for companies that maybe have a test site or some other evidence that they're gaining momentum. Next slide, please. And what is the benefit of this? So this is an intensive online accelerator tailored to clean energy entrepreneurs in Pakistan. My organization, Engine, is based in Los Angeles, California, and we've worked with thousands of clean energy entrepreneurs around the world in over 22 countries, including Pakistan. And we're very, I think, enthusiastic and excited to bring this experience and applying it to help clean energy SMEs in Pakistan grow. So we're taking this, we're bringing in our international expertise, we're bringing in local clean energy experts, and we're providing entrepreneurship training, we're providing business coaching and additional support. It's online, it's cohort-based initially, and as companies progress through the program, it becomes more customized and more personalized. And ultimately, the top performing ventures, SMEs in the accelerator will be eligible for Pfan investment facilitation support. And there's a value here of that of $35,000 per company. But I think it's important to recognize that the experience and the network that Pfan has when it comes to raising funding in clean energy is really invaluable. And many of the companies we've worked with in various parts of the world have benefited from Pfan and have told us how transformative that has been for their ventures. Next slide, please. So we're very close to the deadline, which is the 4th of October. So if you are an entrepreneur, clean energy entrepreneur that would be interested in applying, please do so. If you know an entrepreneur where this may be appropriate for them, please do ask them to apply. The link to the application website is in the chat box. We've had some, I think, very interesting, strong applications so far, but we're keen to have more, particularly more from Sindh, where we've seen a number of interesting submissions already. So we're looking to really make the selection next month and then to start the intensive training around the 11th of October. That will carry on for 4 months. And we will then, at the end of that period, will be selecting 10 out of 20 ventures for more intensive tailored support. Over the first 4 months, it's going to be a series of weekly seminars. It's going to be group mentoring, all online, but very interactive and very much focusing on helping companies grow. It's not academic. We're focusing on really helping the companies succeed. Then from the 1st of February to July next year, we're focusing on linking each of the 10 SMEs with the most appropriate experts to help them grow their companies. And then at the end of this cycle in July, the idea is that the ventures, the 5 SMEs that have the most potential will then be transitioned into potential Pfan investment facilitation support. So that's the aim of this. Next slide, please. And just a reminder again, the deadline is the 4th of October. So if you are an entrepreneur who would like to apply, or you know entrepreneurs who can apply, please do so by 5 p.m. On the 4th of October. So it just remains for me to say I'm very excited to see the more submissions and promising businesses coming from Sindh and elsewhere in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Fazil and Kevin. Now I'd like to move on to the panel discussion on the investment and regulatory scenario for clean energy SMEs and projects in Sindh. We have a few stakeholders from the energy, government, and financial sectors. But before we do that, I would like to, again, we have 2 polls before the panel discussion, which will also help kind of guide the conversation of the panel discussion. So if you could kindly, as before, tick the option you think is most relevant. So while people are ticking, there will be poll 3 after this as well. I'd just like to quickly introduce the next presenter who will be moderating this panel discussion. Another one of my colleagues, Mr. Ammar Qureshi. He is the PPSE expert as well in investment facilitation. Ammar Qureshi is working as an investment expert with UNIDO for their PPSE project in Islamabad. He is an experienced and seasoned professional with more than 23 years of experience in investment, banking, financial services, consulting, and corporate sector. He has worked in Pakistan, the UK, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. He has also worked in oil and gas industry for carbon funds and was heading climate change and sustainability division at Ernst & Young. So do we have the results for the poll number 2? There we have it. So which services do clean energy SMEs most need? 42% have said access to investors, financial institutions, and capital, which is something that Pfan is trying to do in Pakistan as well. And the close second, well, 23% is business model and plan development. And then technical advice and expertise is at 21%, and strengthening clean energy value chain is at 7%, on par with training of entrepreneurs. So I think we should really, again, because this panel discussion is focusing on investment and financing for clean energy, we'll be doing that. So poll number 3 is out now. If you could kindly click the one you think is most relevant. So which type of renewable energy has the most potential for SME growth and ecology? Number 1 is biomass or biogas. Number 2, solar power. And number 3, wind energy. This should be interesting because there's a lot of potential in all 3 in Sindh. Oh, wow, okay, solar power. So solar power at 74% seems to be a very obvious choice for most people, especially Sindh does have a lot of sun. So that's interesting. And biomass is 19% and wind energy is 7%, which is interesting since there is a wind corridor in Sindh that is the biggest in Pakistan. So yeah, let's discuss this in the panel discussion, and I'll hand it over to Ammar Qureshi now.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, thank you, Mavra. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, and we can see you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mavra, for that very kind introduction. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this panel discussion on clean energy in Sindh. We are looking forward to a very exciting discussion as we have a very impressive lineup of panelists with us who will be talking about the financial sector approaches to the energy sector, SMEs and projects in Sindh. We will be focusing on investment opportunities and financing solutions against the backdrop of regulatory framework and policy initiatives. We will be examining the topic of clean energy in Sindh from policy, regulatory, financing and project development perspectives. So let me straight away introduce the distinguished speakers who have joined us for this panel discussion. We have with us Mr. Abrar Sheikh, who is a senior official at Sindh Investment Department, Mr. Saad Latif, who is a co-founder K Solar, Mr. Hamad Umar, who is Country Manager, Insetter Partners. Insetter Partners is an impact investment fund. K Solar is associated with K Electric. Mr. Tahir Rashid, he is representing a Dutch Fund for Climate and Development. Mr. Syed Ali Hassan, he is Head of Sustainable Initiatives at JS Bank. And Mr. Suleiman Rahman is Vice President, Commercial and Sales, Rion Energy, a leading project developer in the clean energy space. So let me start off with you, Sheikh Saab. You have previously worked for Sindh Energy Department and now you are with the Investment Department. How would you describe the landscape of clean energy in Sindh, highlighting the potential of clean energy, as well as telling us about what initiative measures have been taken by the Government of Sindh to attract investment for SMEs in this area, especially biomass, biogas, and biogas projects? Over to you, Abrar Saab.
Thank you very much, Mr. Qureshi, and all the people who are very distinguished guests here who have joined this session. And I'm very grateful you invited me for input into this particular question. I would just highlight here presentations given by Mr. Mehboob Haq and Pfan gentlemen, and I just come across these kind of opportunities, and they are looking for to synergize the things to make it possible and practically happen the projects on the ground to be materialized. Actually, what the Pfan has unleashed in its presentation is actually all the opportunities they are looking for is available itself. Besides a robust structure and the legal framework is available. And the investors are always been looking for a model which they're supposed to follow and to materialize their projects on the ground. I would just quickly highlight here the potentials and the renewable energy, which are the clean energy here in Sindh province. Recently in Council of Common Interest, in the recent meeting, alternate renewable energy policy 2019, which was under discussion, or you can say an under approval, has been approved and notified, which sets very ambitious targets for the Pakistan to attain a certain amount of energy to be added into the national grid should be of clean and green energy, and which is only be possible once we are going to tap the options available with us. And Sindh has a very good potential for the solar, wind, and the wind corridor. And the following the renewable energy policy, what Abu Bakr Saab, Secretary Energy, has already mentioned, 55 to 60,000 megawatts wind energy production capacity is available in Sindh wind corridor. Besides, to follow their ARE policy 2019, since it has been notified, Sindh has installed new wind masts to identify the new location for the wind corridors, future wind corridors. Besides, one of the most potential opportunity available in Sindh is to have a small hydropower projects on the runoff river, which has the capacity of 193 megawatts of hydropower generation could be possible. And the biogas, there is a huge potential of livestock and agro waste in Sindh, and are easily available to be exploited for biogas, biomass development, either household level or on a commercial basis. In the energy department, they have done with the annual development program, and they have included one scheme here, which is for the exploitation of the biogas production capacity to be, they are looking for SMEs and the EPC contractors to be engaged. At this stage, our potential Pfan and the agriculture waste to energy can be synergized with the energy department's development portfolio. And at this stage, the technical assistance and the USAID's financial assistance, and something which could be worked out with the mutual consent sitting on one table so that all the dots could be connected. Because I'm feeling it, because before my investment department was joining, I was additional secretary energy department. And here, after listening very potential presentations of very good speakers here, I'm feeling it there is a gap of communication. And this communication gap definitely causing to a repetition of efforts by the different stakeholders and this repetition of the same things. This is just my humble submission. We need to sit down and all the potentials could work out what the possibility in the development programs. Energy departments is also working on developing its policy for waste to energy production. And at this stage, Pfan can and other distinguished speakers who have experience into this, they can give a good insight into this development of the policy, which could be make easier for the investors to go for this option, because 15,000 tons of waste is produced only in Karachi per day, and 2,000 approximately in other cities as well. So there is huge capacity available, which could be materialized, which could be exploited. Besides, what I said, runoff river is one of the main potentials. And the waste to energy and the biomass Sindh produces huge amount of municipal waste, which I said, and biogas, cotton sticks, and rice husk. This can lead approximately 1,500 megawatt electricity production through these clean resources. And there is a huge opportunity. Strong legal framework is available. The main thing, energy department has also established is one window facility. Because I was there in energy department as the additional secretary being responsible, I can quote here, there is a complete one window facility. The main thing is letter of intent, LOI. The second thing is access to the site and land acquisition has been made very easy and very promptly and expeditiously, as the things are being accelerated at the energy department's level. Besides, investment department is going to be aligned with the energy department, because we have always been focal point for receiving the investors to get them intro with the relevant line agency to get the things done and due diligence be completed at the earliest. I just
thank you so much, Abrar Saab. Thank you so much, Abrar Saab. In view of time management, we have to move on. I think you have spelled out the incentives and also the potential.
I would just conclude with the one sentence. Okay. After this very productive session today, I would just humbly submit to the August Forum and to the organizers, if any further thing could be possible, and to sit on one table of all the stakeholders, where the technical expertise are available to some distinguished speakers who have unleashed in their presentation, and who are some recipients who can supposed to synergize their agricultural waste and all the biomass waste and the projects they are looking for, and the feasible project, bankable feasible projects. Energy department could be a executing agency to get the things done and roll on, and due diligence be complete, and the financial close could be attended at the possible time. So just
thank you so much.
These things synergizing all the stakeholders will be the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abrar Saab. We need to move on. You have already spelled out the incentives, the one window operation you mentioned. Our next speaker who has joined us is Mr. Hamad Umar. He is country manager in Sitter Partners, which is a leading impact investment management company fund, and they are focusing on clean energy projects. Hamad, if I would like to ask you that you have listened to the Sindh Investment Department official. How would you describe the challenges and opportunities that you see as an impact investment fund manager in the clean energy domain in Sindh? And what do you think can be the additional measures that need to be taken by the government to boost investment or facilitate financing in this area? And more, also, we would like to hear from you a bit about what sort of opportunities is your fund looking at in Sindh. Over to you.
Thank you, Amar, and hello to all of the other panelists here. In terms of the challenges of very specifically to the energy sector in Sindh and in Pakistan, I think a lot of the challenges that we have are historical, in the sense that there's been, throughout history, there's been a commitment, a long-term commitment to non-renewable sources, and what you call dirty energy sources has been very high. And now, more recently, obviously, there has been a switch to a focus on renewable energy. And then due to that, right now, Pakistan is, what they say is, has an overcapacity of energy services. So whenever you talk about bringing up new energy sources, you have to face the challenges of how to deal with overcapacity, and then how to design projects or plans that would attract an investor with a long-term return, instead of focusing on very short-term investments. And consistency in policy, I think, is very, very important for us. From a purely impact point of view, and that's because that's my expertise area, I think that Sindh has massive potential in terms of creating an impact. We have a lot of rural and areas that require electrification. And when you talk about electrification, the most equitable electrification you can get right now is through clean energy sources. And the reason I say that is because setting up a coal or a oil or a furnace-based plant, you need to have a large plant. It has to be located in certain specific areas, and then you need to have a transmission and distribution system around it. And once you have a transmission and distribution system, it does not always result in an equitable spread of energy. And usually the focus remains on larger industries and urban areas. And so the peri-urban areas and the rural areas and small industries lose out. The way clean energy can help with that is because clean energy, especially solar and biomass, translate very, very easily to microgrids. And with solar, you can also translate it very easily to home systems. And that makes it very exciting when you talk about electrification of villages and having an impact on the lower income and reducing energy poverty in the country, which I think is going to be very important as we're moving into the technology age. Ensuring that everyone has energy will be critical. So I see, as an impact fund, we see a lot of opportunity in this microgrid space. We see a lot of opportunity in home solar space. But and then your next question was, well, how to make it possible is, A, we need consistency in policy. B, we need with proper regulations around microgrids and proper regulation on home solar, ensuring that the products that are being sold in the market are of high quality. And then historically, what's happened is that grants have kind of fought with businesses in this space. And in a lot of the cases, the grant-based projects have given lower quality home solar systems for quick distribution. And so it needs to be ensured that this is done in a manner where quality is maintained, and then sustainability of these projects is maintained. So as an investor, I think the number one key area for us would be very clear, very consistent policies and regulations, which would make us very comfortable around investing in the sector.
Thank you so much for that very elaborate answer that you gave. Now we move on to our next speaker, Mr. Saad Latif. He is co-founder K Solar. And Saad, you have worked on a number of renewable energy projects and energy transition projects both in Pakistan and outside Pakistan. Now you're working with K Solar. Can you tell us a bit more about the issues and opportunities which are in the on-grid, mini-grid and off-grid sectors in Sindh, both in generation and distribution? Because you are the right person to answer that question. And what do you think are the main financing challenges these projects are facing? And what can the provincial government do to facilitate energy transition projects? Over to you, and please stick to the 5-minute answer deadline in view of time management. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marsab, and it's a great pleasure to be here with the fellow panelists and be part of the PFAN team. Sindh, as discussed earlier by some of the speakers, like Sindh right now presents one of the best, arguably the best potential for renewable energy amongst all provinces in Pakistan. I will first comment on the utility scale generation side opportunities, and then go onto the distributed generation space, and then towards the end I'll touch base on the financing element that you had brought up in the question. Sindh, amongst the other provinces, has a relatively higher irradiation, essentially access to available sunlight, that makes it a great location for solar power deployment. There have been solar IPPs that are all right now also connected to the K electric grid, but there are more coming up in northern Sindh that would be connected to the NTTC grid. The province also has the only active wind corridor, which has deployed about more than 24 wind IPPs, roughly 1.3 gigawatts of capacity installed over there. All of this is also feeding into the national grid. So again, no other province has this kind of installed capacity as we speak. Even in the new plan that had been shared by the World Bank, or the study conducted, Sindh has a very high share of the renewable energy projects that would be coming up in the future as well. Coming on to the distributed generation side, this space has been growing very rapidly across the country, and specifically across the province in the last few years. One of the main factors over there is the access or the cost of the current electricity has gone up, which essentially has enabled or which has pushed a lot of customers to look at alternate sources such as solar power generation. Also, specifically outside Karachi, the grid reliability has been fairly poor, which is why a lot of customers over there are switching to solar power. Some of them are essentially using battery as a backup, but a bulk of these solutions are grid tied, and it's very interesting to see all segments are switching to solar, which includes residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, and also public sector buildings that have been involved in the deployment of these solutions. There is like in the agriculture space, there is a very interesting uptake of solar power tube wells, where solar PV is essentially in the continent is the primary solution that is being deployed. But there is now we are also seeing a trend of hybrid solutions coming up, especially in with some of these wind IPPs, and some individual customers or specific industries are also now planning to deploy solar plus wind solutions to power to meet their energy needs. There's a very big scope of these hybrid solutions, and these hybrid solutions could come in either in the form of solar plus wind, or maybe let's say in the form of biomass, or plus solar, or any other technology that is then later found more suitable. There have been around the financing space, there have been very interesting interventions that have been led by the public sector. Like the most attractive one is the renewable energy finance scheme that has been initiated by the State Bank of Pakistan, which enables renewable energy projects to be deployed at a very at a rate lower than KIBOR, fixed at 6%. However, the access to finance is generally a big challenge. Specifically, there is a need for more holistic financing opportunities for all segments of energy customers. Right now, a lot of these existing ones are focused on large energy consumers, but ideally, these opportunities should also come up for smaller energy consumers as well. I personally find it very inspiring to see the way SEDF has been playing a big role in the agriculture space, and it would be very interesting to see if SEDF could expand its presence in the renewable energy space. And also similar to that, if the provincial government can initiate another similar initiative that would focus on renewable energy deployment across the province. There's also, I feel, a bigger need of maybe initiating better access to carbon trading markets, or essentially renewable energy certificates that these projects can use to then generate additional revenue. I would also, towards the end, just mention that it's very interesting, very inspiring to see that the Sindh government has also initiated a $100 million project with the World Bank, which is focusing specifically on the renewable energy, which focuses on both on-grid, off-grid, and with the third segment, they're focusing on utility scale IPPs as well. So overall, massive opportunity over here, and yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that very comprehensive answer to those questions. We now move on to our next speaker, Mr. Sulaimanur Rahman. He is Vice President Commercial and Sales, Rion Energy, which is a leading project development company dealing in the clean energy space in the country. Sulaiman Saab, would you please tell us a bit about your portfolio in Sindh? We are all keen to hear about it. And how do you see this landscape of clean energy evolving in Sindh? What, in your view, are the main challenges, and where are the main opportunities in this arena in Sindh? Over to you, and please be mindful of the 5-minute time limit. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. I have actually even kept a stopwatch here, so don't worry about that.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
But thanks to Pfan for organizing this. So I'll just share my screen quickly. Just give me 1 second. I hope everyone can see it. Just so it'll be easier to go through this, run through this, mindful of the time. So just a quick introduction. We are the largest renewable company in Pakistan. We work. Of course, Sindh is, of course, while our where the company is based out of and the group is based out of. We are a national installer. Our focus remains on, of course, the decarbonization. We've done over 100 megawatts of conversions. Another 80 megawatt is being displaced. Our focus still remains on the decentralized model, large EPCs for the CNI sector. In addition, we have looked at microgrids, and we are, of course, looking at the telecom. Digital is something that we're looking at as well, because one key part of this whole clean energy is to move from the old system to the new, where digital platforms will play a big part. For this, Rion is, of course, building its own platforms to eventually, the market has to connect. Everyone has to connect into this new paradigm of clean energy, where we heard about the wholesale market coming. So a lot of that will, this will play a part over there. Just a bit review, Rion is not just a Pakistan company. We're now also doing, it's probably the first Pakistani company doing renewable projects internationally as well. We're doing a project in Qatar for the 2022 World Cup as well, a solar project. And just to get, the projects in Sindh, of course, we started the journey 7-8 years ago, where, of course, at that time we did residents and we did a lot of SME clients. But over time, of course, Rion has progressed to larger clients. But what's amazing is that in Sindh, which is where we do some of the projects which we call Rion First. So if I look at large-scale projects, Sindh actually at the Bid gas field of ENI was the world's first solar integration with a live gas field. It was a 10 megawatt plant, but it was the first one over there. Similarly, the largest rooftop bifacial in the country has been done in Sindh as well. All the largest rooftops over here have been done in Sindh as well. We did the first solar private PPA at the Sindh Engro coal mine in Thar, which was a 5 megawatt solar project. Similarly, the another largest PPA in Pakistan with the multinationals also done over here in Sindh. A new focus for us is energy storage, which will play a pivotal role in clean energy for the industry, especially for the SME sector as well. We're underway putting a 2.7 megawatt hour battery at the moment. The project is under construction. And of course, and I'll come to the opportunity slide next. Grid level storage is something that we're looking at to develop with STDC, because in order to integrate more renewable, especially for the SME, which to look at a portfolio way, wheeling will play a large part. So of course, grid storage will be very important. Now, if I just go over the opportunities and of course the bottlenecks to grow. SMEs, of course, everyone knows is the largest untapped renewable market in Pakistan. They have the highest energy cost. They don't have access to capital like the large groups. So these are the ones where literally, is the biggest problem to solve. And of course, when you look to solve big problems, it creates big opportunities. Of course, there's no net metering for smaller projects. There's a big opportunity for blended finance. Blended finance being discussed along with Guarantor, on SMEs. Grants and green finance being committed all over the world should be deployed over here. And of course, right now, RION is working with different potential partners to develop the regional carbon markets. Bottlenecks, I'll just quickly rush through them. Everyone's talked about it. Access to finance remains a challenge. Another regulatory challenge is that when you do private PPAs, you can't do net metering at the same time. And SME operations need net metering because they don't have 24/7 operations. A heavy dependence on state bank financing. I will add one thing, even with all the, Sindh having the highest potential for renewable, in the CNI sector, Sindh is not the largest installer of solar because our factories do not have the land available that the industrial space in the north and central have. Especially around Karachi, land tends to be, of course, a very scarce commodity. So again, over here, it's very important that wheeling needs to be enabled, which as the Sindh government is working on. And secondly, our commercial banks, lack the capability to develop new products to back renewables. We need ESCOs, we need smart leases. Unfortunately, it's still the same, standard project financing lending. When you look at SMEs, the risk over there is you have to look at a portfolio or corporate. So, these are just the small challenges. I believe I'll share this with the team as well, and they can share it with the wider audience as well. But this kind of just to put a snapshot on the opportunity, which is huge, but there are these bottlenecks which we all need to address as well.
Thank you so much, Suleiman Saab, for mapping out both the challenges and opportunities quite graphically. Now we move on to our next speaker, Mr. Syed Ali Hassan. He's representing JS Bank. JS Bank, as we know, is a leading sustainable, he's heading the head of sustainable initiatives at JS Bank. And JS Bank is the leading financial institution in the clean energy space. And we are very lucky that we have got him with us today on the panel. JS Bank is the partner organization of PPSE Pfan. It has also done projects both with SCDF as well as Usaid. So Ali, you are very well positioned to tell us about the challenges and opportunities that financial institutions are facing when it comes to clean energy landscape in Sindh, whether solar, whether biogas or biomass. So please tell us, what is your view, what is JS Bank's view on it, and what can be done to make these clean energy projects in Sindh more attractive to financial institutions and investors, both local and foreign. So over to you, Ali.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your questions as well. I will also keep it concise. As very rightly pointed out from Mr. Suleiman from Bioenergy, there are quite a few challenges and there seems to be a lag in the commercial banking space where it stems primarily from, to some extent, it stems from initiative and also from capacity. There is a significant need for capacity building within the financial institutions to be able to understand the technology better and in order to be able to finance it better. So systems and structures need to modernize in order for different companies, specifically SMEs, to get better access for financing. As of now, as quoted by the State Bank, the chairman of State Bank, Raza Bakir, that there have been over 850 million megawatts worth of this capacity being deployed through the renewable energy scheme, which is still too low in my opinion. But given that there's a 6% interest rate, it makes feasible and financial sense for a lot of SME businesses to be able to access these resources. And as pointed out with Suleiman, land availability of rooftop space or otherwise space is another factor which limits these companies to be able to get this financing. So at some point, the awareness is also an issue, but more so that the financial institutions need to be geared better to be able to handle these financing protocols better. What we mean, what can be done, and what some of the institutions are trying to do, like for instance, JS Bank. We have taken this as a company, as an organization, to push SME financing and are trying to do so as much as possible within our limited capacity. Our focus has been residentials and SME rooftop solar projects, and our products have been performing really well over the last 1.5 years. This is because we have taken this initiative. We see that other banks have taken limited exposure of the renewable energy scheme and have only focused on large tier category 1 operators, where they focus on their tier A customers, which most of them are served and did not, in my opinion, at some point, in some cases, did not require the financing required to make this project, make those installations happen in the first place. Regardless, it's a good initiative by the State Bank. And in the next couple of years, I feel that there is going to be a lot more development in this space. Some of the aspects that can help the commercial banking space into giving out these loans more easily is to A, do capacity building, B, develop guarantee structures, which de-risks their financial investment, which can come from guarantee co, which can come from government entities, which can allow banks to be more flexible when they're giving out these loans. The existing scheme, the commercial risk still lies with the bank themselves, and therefore they're hesitant in promoting these schemes. If with time, they will be more, they will understand these products better, they will understand this technology better. But in case if you need to increase the pace and the rate at which this is going, the initial guarantee structures are going to be imperative in increasing the scalability of these projects.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ali, for that comprehensive answer. And now we move on to our next panelist. He's Mr. Tahir Rashid. He's associated with WWF, but he's representative of Dutch Fund for Climate and Development. Tahir Saab, thank you so much for joining us. It is very good to see that Foreign Climate Fund, DFCD, is active in Sindh. As a foreign fund active in the area of climate and development, how would you describe your fund's experience in Sindh so far? And please tell us also about your cooperation with SEDF. Moreover, what are the hurdles that your organization has faced? If you can please tell us about that, and what additional measures do you think are needed to be taken by the Government of Sindh to make it even a more attractive destination for foreign funds like DFCD? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Amar, for your time. And I think before I discuss the points you raised, I wanted to just introduce what this particular opportunity is all about. So it's a wonderful opportunity, by the way, that provide an opportunity to test, scale, and explore, test, and scale the innovative bankable ideas, and especially in Sindh. And when we talk about the Sindh in this delta. So what was the rationale? Because the sustainable management of the natural resources, then the environmental and climate issues are the biggest issues and the pressing issues of the day. So for that, there were two challenges. Number one, how to bridge the gap of investment on SDGs, on climate change, or on natural resources. For instance, at the moment, we have the current available resources to address the SDGs are 1.7 trillion US dollars. And we need 4.2 trillion dollars if we want to bridge the gap. So where does these 2.5 trillion dollars will come? And there the WWF Pakistan and the WWF International thought that it's the private sector, and they can be a valuable partner to bridge that particular gap and to blend the curve. And for that, why? Because the private sector is working in the landscapes, and they are dependent on the landscape operations, and they have linked to the risks and pressures on the landscapes. So because we are working on the landscape, so that's why if they are part of problem, they can become a part of solution. So that's why we are very much engaged, and we are engaging the private sector to come and invest for the betterment of the landscapes. For that particular purpose, the WWF decided to originate a bankable solution, and to encourage the bankable projects, to leverage the private sector investments. And for that, we have initiated the DFCD opportunity. It was launched in 2019. It's a $160 million what you can see origination facility available for the 6 developing countries of the world at the moment, and we are going to mobilize $1 billion to what you can say for the private finance. So it's a big opportunity for the private sector to come and invest in the in the green areas. And by the way, your green and clean energy is very much part and parcel of this particular opportunity. So how it will be working? It will be working in 2 areas. Number 1, to address the climate adaptation issues, and number 2, the climate mitigation issues. When we talk about the climate adaptation, we will be working for the improved agriculture and productivity. We will be working on the agroforestry. We will be working for the food security, and we will be encouraging for the improved resilience of the drought and water scarcity threats in Sindh. And definitely we will be also what you can say working for the green and clean energy in Sindh, and definitely in the other part of Pakistan. So as far as the climate mitigation is concerned, then definitely, and this clean energy is very much part and parcel of that, because generation of the renewable energies and then offsetting the coal-based energy, and we are encouraging the investors to come and invest in that particular area, sequestration of the CO2, elimination of the burning of the agriculture waste, and so on and so forth. And you know what are the biggest issue of Lahore, and now definitely in many cities of the Sindh also, and that's the fog, and fog is really one of the biggest issues of Pakistan. So how to address that? So that's why this particular opportunity is also what you can say engaging the people who are interested in the clean energy and other what you can say natural resources areas. As your question that I think we received a wonderful cooperation from SCDF and a very dynamic CEO, Mr. Mehboob Haq, and I'm really grateful to him for his cooperation, for his assistance, and that's why a list of projects are in pipeline. And today we have signed approximately $20 million euros, what you can say projects with two very dynamic investors. What are the problems, and what should the government do to encourage I think the foreign funds? I think number 1 is the improve the law and order. Law and order is very critical if you want to encourage the foreign funding in this particular province. And then we have to open markets, and we should allow the FDI inflows if we want to encourage the FDIs. And then I think we should be very carefully thinking about the sectors and activities that in which areas we need the foreign fundings, and how we can then encourage the windows of the DFCD and the other windows, and we can ask them to come and invest in this particular country, and sky is the limit, because it's a very, very important country as far as the natural resource conservation and the green energy and the clean energy is concerned. Then I think there should be a strong and we should also strengthen the backward linkages from the FDI into the indigenous economy, because there should be a strong what you can say collaboration and joint ventures of our local industry and the people who want to invest in this particular country and this particular province. So I think if we can address.
Thank you so much.
So we can.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tahir Saab, for sharing your thoughts and experiences of your fund in Sindh. So I'm grateful to all the participants for this stimulating and informative session we have had today. I hope you guys have also enjoyed this discussion as we have. And it's back to you, Mavra.
Thank you, everyone, for that very engaging and informative session. I look forward to having everyone's presentations as well, and to look at them another time. So now we're coming to the final part of our webinar, and we're moving towards the closing remarks, which will be done by Ms. Jenna Diallo, who is the director of the USAID Energy Office. Ms. Diallo joined the Office of Energy in August 2021 as a director. Ms. Jenna joined USAID in 2008 as a Foreign Service Officer. Prior to joining USAID, she worked in the USAID Philippines Office of Economic Development and Governance as the Deputy Office Director and Economic Growth Team Lead. Ms. Diallo's previous positions in USAID include West Africa Regional Field Investment Officer in USAID Senegal's Regional Sahel Office, and Private Enterprise Officer in USAID Uganda's Economic Growth Office. She holds a Master of Arts degree in International Affairs from the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. Over to you, Ms. Diallo.
Thank you, Mavra. And thank you so much to everyone who participated today in this event. And thank you so much to the organizers. I'd like to thank all the participants, all the panelists, but a special thank you to Honorable Secretary Abu Bakr Ahmed, also Abrar Sheikh from the Sindh Investment Board, Mahbub ul Haq from the Sindh Enterprise Development Fund, and also Pfan, of course. So I'll just give a brief recap of what was an incredibly rich discussion. We heard first from the Honorable Secretary, who talked about the commitment from the government to clean energy and highlighted the opportunity in the vast renewable resources in Sindh. And then we heard about the impressive support available from the Sindh Enterprise Development Fund. We also then heard from Pfan about their assistance, and which highlighted the challenge for projects and investors to find each other and the services they can provide to bring them together. And then we had a very rich panel discussion. And just to highlight a bit of that discussion, we heard about some of the challenges, including gaps in communication, the need for consistency in policy, the need for more financial solutions for smaller projects. And we also heard about the trends in demand and new products, including hybrid solutions. And then additionally, we heard about ideas on how to attract more investment. I know we could have continued the discussion much longer, and I think this only highlights the need for this type of an event that brings together all the stakeholders, including private sector, government, the financial sector, and organizations that can provide services to bringing these two elements together to improve project development and support clean energy. I would like to just take advantage of my platform today to make a small request. I know it's difficult in this sector, but I did see that all of the speakers and panelists were male. Perhaps in future events, we can see to include women in the lineup. I know it's a challenge. It's an issue in the sector overall. Maybe we can continue to work on that. I am confident that this event will result in individual follow-on discussions between the participants and matches between companies needing assistance with services to help them develop their projects. I look forward to hearing what comes out of this event today, and I look forward to future events as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jenna. Sorry, I'm just, yeah. So the event hasn't fully finished yet. I would need all of your time just for a few more minutes. So before you jet off, I would like to firstly thank some of the team members, some of the people our colleagues who you didn't see, who have been working very hard behind the scenes. So I would request them to switch on their cameras. So firstly, I would like to profusely thank Ms. Rabia Bukhari, who is the Program Management Specialist Energy at USAID, for her continued support to PPSE and coordination for this webinar today. Rabia, I don't know if, I see Rabia. Hi, Rabia, you can wave to everyone if you like. Then I would like to profusely again thank our Pfan program associate, Ghazal spoke about him as well, Santiago Nocelli, all the way in Vienna, who has worked tirelessly to bring this webinar and helps. He's really truly the backbone of this project. So if you could also wave, Santiago, that would be great. Yes, there he is. So now actually I would like for all of the speakers and panelists to switch on their cameras and we can all take a picture. And for our attendees, I would like to thank you so much for making time out today. And I hope today's event was beneficial to you for your understanding and your connection with financial institutions and understanding what the government and PPSE is doing for clean energy SMEs. But before you go, we have a last poll and a last survey, an event survey that will automatically pop up when this event is over. It's a 1-minute survey. And if you could kindly fill it in, that would be great. It would help us do better events in the future. And also we will be emailing you the polls and surveys as well. So if you didn't get the chance to do it today, you can do it later, but we would really suggest if you do it now. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure to be your master of ceremony today, and with lots of energy from the PPSE, Pfan, Usaid, and UNIDO team. Have a great day.